An ordinary gas station. Dozens of roaring engines idling, drivers checking their phones, and right beneath their feet, a literal ocean of highly volatile, explosive liquid. We are talking about tens of thousands of liters of fuel just sitting there, waiting for a single spark. Statistically, this should be a disaster zone. Think about it. You have open heat sources, electrical systems running, and thousands of distracted humans handling flammable materials every single day. It sounds like the perfect recipe for a Hollywood explosion, right? Yet, year after year, these stations operate worldwide without a single major incident. How is that even possible? What is the invisible shield keeping us safe? It is completely natural to look at a gas pump and feel a tiny flash of anxiety. The media has conditioned us to believe that gas stations are giant, ticking time bombs just waiting for one microscopic mistake to level an entire neighborhood. But here is the thing. Elite engineers knew about these catastrophic risks before the first concrete slab was ever poured. Modern fuel stations are masterclasses in preventative physics, designed to kill a hazard before it even has a chance to breathe. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the genius tech that keeps these places from blowing up daily. And trust me, the real danger hiding at the pump is definitely not what you think it is. To truly understand how we got here, we have to look back at a catastrophic wake-up call. December 11th, 2005. Hertfordshire, UK. The Buncefield Oil Depot became the ground zero for one of the most massive, non-wartime explosions in European history. At 5 a.m., while the world was sleeping, a massive fuel tank began to overflow due to a faulty monitoring system. But it wasn't the liquid fuel that caused the apocalypse. It was the invisible heavy vapors escaping into the cold morning air, forming a colossal silent cloud. The moment it hit an ignition source, boom! A shockwave so violent that seismographs across the UK and neighboring countries registered it as a literal earthquake. Over 40 people were injured, and the financial wreckage topped a staggering £1 billion. This absolute disaster forced global authorities to completely rewrite the safety playbook for fuel storage. Why? Because up until that tragic morning, the underground tanks at your local gas station were terrifyingly primitive. Just basic steel cylinders wrapped in a thin layer of tar mastic. Think about what happens to raw metal buried in the dirt. Groundwater, aggressive chemical reactions, and rogue electrical currents silently ate away at those old steel tanks. Microscopic cracks formed. Highly flammable gasoline began bleeding into the earth, filling hidden underground pockets with toxic, volatile gas. At that point, a single random spark from a nearby car was all it took to trigger total devastation. The catastrophe at Buncefield, combined with a wave of silent, terrifying leaks worldwide, forced a complete revolution in engineering. Today, those primitive single-layer steel tanks are strictly illegal. In their place, we now use high-tech, multi-layered fortresses equipped with double-walled hulls and continuous 24/7 electronic sensors. But before we dive deep underground to see how these fortresses actually work, we need to talk about the absolute most dangerous moment in the daily life of a gas station: the arrival of the fuel truck. Every few days, a massive tanker carrying up to 40,000 liters of highly volatile fuel rolls onto the property. This is where things get incredibly tense. You are linking two massive fuel reservoirs together with nothing but rubber hoses, while thousands of gallons of liquid energy begin to pump. One tiny oversight, one microscopic static spark, and you are looking at an instant code red. Remember Buncefield. That disaster happened because automated level sensors failed, and the operators were completely blind to the fact that fuel was spilling over the top. To make sure that never happens at your local station, modern protocol is brutal. The very first thing the truck driver does? He grounds the entire rig. The driver snaps a heavy-duty industrial clamp onto a dedicated grounding loop that burrows deep into the earth. This isn't just a basic wire. It is a smart, computerized safety link. If the system detects even a fraction of an unstable connection, it instantly locks down the entire station and completely blocks the fuel transfer. Next comes the second hose, and this one is pure genius. As fresh gasoline floods into the dark underground tank, it violently pushes out the air inside. Air that is completely choked with explosive fumes. In the old days, this toxic cloud was just vented straight into the sky, creating an invisible, highly flammable fog right above people's heads. Now, it is sucked right back into the delivery truck through a perfectly sealed closed-loop system, cutting dangerous emissions to practically zero. Locking down the vapor is a massive win, but airtight plumbing is only half the battle. To truly survive this environment, you have to understand the mind of the invisible enemy. Let me ask you a question. Why is liquid gasoline actually the least of our worries? Drop a match into a bucket of pure liquid gasoline, and yes, it burns hot and fast. But the liquid itself isn't what explodes. The real monster is the vapor. These fumes are completely invisible, significantly heavier than the air we breathe, and on a calm, windless day, they act like a ghostly, heavy river, creeping along the pavement for dozens of meters without anyone noticing. For a catastrophic explosion to happen, you only need the air-to-vapor mix to hit a tiny sweet spot, between 1.3% and 7.6%. Deep inside the underground storage tanks, the air is so utterly choked with fumes that there isn't enough oxygen for a fire to even start. It is actually too rich to burn. But step outside on a blazing hot summer afternoon, and the physics completely flip. Imagine you are standing at the pump, filling up your car, and a heavy cloud of invisible vapor escapes from your open gas tank. Because it weighs more than the surrounding air, it sinks straight down to the concrete, pooling silently right around your shoes. If someone drops a cigarette, steps out of their car with a heavy dose of static electricity, or starts a faulty engine right in that exact spot, that invisible pool ignites instantly, racing right back up to the source. To prevent this, modern stations are equipped with vapor recovery systems. In the first stage, during fuel delivery from the tanker, vapors return to the truck. In the second stage, when you refuel your car, vapors from the gas tank are sucked back into the underground reservoir through holes surrounding the main nozzle of the fuel dispenser. The entire process takes place in a closed cycle. The efficiency of these systems is incredibly high. However, even this system does not offer a 100% guarantee, because the ultimate enemy of a gas station is not gasoline vapor, but a spark. Where does it come from? Believe it or not, the source is highly unexpected. Let's look at an incident that occurred at one station. A female driver got out of her car, removed the gas cap, inserted the nozzle, and locked it in the open position. She then went back inside the cabin to stay warm, and as she slid out of the seat, her clothes rubbed against the fabric. When she grabbed the nozzle, a static electricity spark jumped between her hand and the metal tip. The gasoline vapors ignited instantly. Fortunately, the woman was not hurt, but the recording of this incident spread across all industry publications and became a classic textbook example. This case, along with dozens of similar ones, completely changed the perception of safety at gas stations. It turned out that the main threat does not come from mobile phones, but from static electricity. The cell phone myth was born from a few unconfirmed cases and kept alive by warning signs. In reality, the radio wave energy of a modern smartphone is far too low to cause ignition. Static electricity, on the other hand, is a real threat that should not be ignored. Smartphones are actually banned at pumps simply to eliminate potential sources of distraction and keep drivers focused. Engineers countered this threat with a comprehensive set of measures. All metal parts of the dispenser, nozzle, and hose are grounded. The hose has an internal wire braiding that ensures continuous contact with the ground. Even if you build up a charge, it safely discharges the moment you touch it. But what if a spark does fly and a fire breaks out? This is where a system steps in that reacts faster than any human. Suppose we are at a large major gas station. If a fire breaks out there, the automation acts instantly. Temperature and flame sensors send a signal to the controller, and the fuel supply music is cut off. At the exact same fraction of a second, a high-velocity emergency valve down in the subterranean vault snaps shut, instantly locking the entire ocean of gasoline away from the surface world. And this failsafe doesn't just wait for a fire. It triggers under pure mechanical chaos. We've all seen the videos. A distracted driver pulls away from the pump with the nozzle still jammed firmly into their gas tank. In a movie, the whole station blows up in a massive fireball, right? In reality, the breakaway valve snaps cleanly, stopping a high-pressure geyser of fuel from painting the concrete. Only the tiny amount of liquid trapped inside the rubber hose drips out. But what if a fire somehow manages to bypass the valves and tries to race down the vent pipes into the main fuel reservoir? That's where engineers deployed a brilliant piece of hardware: the flame arrestor. Picture a dense labyrinth of thousands of razor-thin metal plates packed tightly together. As the hyper-aggressive flame front tries to force its way through this maze, the metallic matrix absorbs and dissipates the heat with blinding speed. In a flash, the temperature drops way below the ignition threshold. The fire literally starves to death and dies out before it can ever touch the mass of fuel below. These devices are built to military-grade, ultra-strict tolerances. Every single one of these safety nets operates completely independently, backing each other up in a flawless defensive chain. But let's play out the ultimate worst-case scenario. What if the entire automated grid crashes? What if a freak malfunction leaves the flame arrestor compromised? The valves jam wide open and an aggressive, roaring fire swallows the pump, creeping directly toward the main canopy. Is it game over? Not even close. Because the final heavy-hitting line of defense is about to step onto the stage. The automated deluge fire suppression system. This system doesn't waste precious minutes waiting for sirens in the distance. It takes immediate, absolute control of the environment. Suspended right above your head in the station's canopy is a strategic network of high-pressure sprinklers and specialized monitor nozzles. The moment they detect a critical thermal spike, they don't just spray water, they unleash a dense, suffocating curtain of microfine water mist. This accomplishes two vital missions simultaneously. It radically cools the heavy steel overhead to keep the canopy from warping and collapsing into a twisted wreck, while violently choking out the oxygen around the flames to stop them from spreading to neighboring cars. By law, these systems are engineered to hold the line long enough for every single soul to evacuate safely. They are triggered automatically by thermal glass links that shatter the moment temperatures hit 68 to 74 degrees Celsius, or they can be fired manually by the station operator hitting a giant panic button. But how did we get to this level of absolute engineering perfection? The truth is, the industry had to learn its lesson through a silent, terrifying crisis that nearly poisoned an entire continent. Rewind to the mid-1980s. Deep within the United States, an environmental nightmare was unfolding completely out of the public eye. Comprehensive inspections by the Environmental Protection Agency dropped a bombshell. Tens of thousands of old-school steel tanks buried across America were silently rotting away. Highly toxic gasoline was bleeding directly into the soil and filtering straight into major underground aquifers, contaminating the pristine drinking water of millions of citizens. By 1990, records showed over 1 million underground storage tanks buried nationwide, and a staggering percentage of them were active environmental hazard zones. The government's response was an unprecedented, aggressive, multi-billion-dollar ultimatum. A massive, mandatory infrastructure overhaul was launched across the nation. The new rules were brutal and non-negotiable. Every single tank buried in the ground had to feature double-walled construction, advanced electronic leak detection grids, and cutting-edge anti-corrosion armor. Station owners were given a hard deadline: adapt or shut down forever by the end of 1998. It cost the industry a staggering fortune, but the gamble paid off completely. The number of toxic underground leaks didn't just drop, they completely plummeted to near zero. A modern underground storage tank isn't just a big metal barrel, it is a true masterpiece of advanced engineering. We are talking about a heavy-duty double-walled vault that features a highly pressurized liquid or a pure vacuum sealed between its layers. Ultra-sensitive digital sensors monitor this interstitial space 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The absolute second a microscopic fracture appears in either wall, the internal pressure fluctuates, instantly blasting an emergency alarm straight to the control room. And it gets even more secure. Some high-end facilities wrap the entire system in a secondary containment jacket, a literal bulletproof vest for the earth that traps the fuel even if both main walls suffer a catastrophic breach. Plus, modern tanks built from fiberglass-reinforced polymers completely eliminate the threat of rust, allowing them to sit safely in the dirt for half a century without ever needing a replacement. But if you think fire is the only monster hovering over a gas station, think again. There is another terrifying threat from above that most people completely ignore. A gas station is the ultimate perfect lightning rod. High-reaching metal canopies, sprawling steel structures, and an ocean of volatile chemicals create a highly explosive cocktail just waiting for a strike from the sky. While lightning-induced explosions sound rare, they are a brutal reality. To neutralize this electrical nightmare, strict architectural codes require a massive grid of lightning rods, dedicated heavy-duty down, conductors, and complex equipotential bonding. Every single piece of metal on the property must be seamlessly bonded together and grounded deep into the earth. Engineers pay fanatical attention to the tank vent valves. Why? Because without a flame arrestor, a single millions of volts lightning bolt can bridge straight inside the fuel supply. Modern lightning defense matrices are built to intercept these colossal strikes mid-air, instantly redirecting the massive electrical surge safely around the explosive vapor zones and dumping it straight into the bedrock below. At this point, you might think we've completely tamed the environment. You'd think the modern gas station is an impenetrable fortress. But you would be dead wrong. Let me ask you, what do you think is the #1 cause of accidents at the pump? despite every single genius piece of tech we've covered, the cold, hard statistics don't lie. The overwhelming majority of gas station disasters aren't caused by mechanical failure. They are caused by the chaotic, unpredictable human element. It happens 1,000 different ways every single day. A distracted driver drives away with the nozzle still locked in their car. A customer decides to spark up a cigarette right by a vapor cloud, or a rushed maintenance crew violates critical welding protocols. The classic hose snap scenario is incredibly common. Usually, the emergency breakaway coupling sacrifices itself, keeping the spill down to a couple of thimbles of gas. But if that mechanical coupling is faulty, poorly maintained, or missing entirely, the consequences are immediate and catastrophic. That is exactly why global safety standards make breakaway couplings completely non-negotiable on every single modern dispenser. To back up the tech, the flesh and blood staff undergo brutal military-style training regimens. These operators don't just sit behind a cash register. They are trained to handle pure chaos, manipulate high-output fire suppression gear, and orchestrate lightning-fast mass evacuations. These regular drills aren't a boring corporate formality. They build the split-second muscle memory required to save lives when everything goes wrong. So how intense does this training actually get? What secret skills are these employees hiding? Let's look at a real-world scenario. Picture a completely ordinary afternoon. Out of nowhere, pure panic. The driver of a massive SUV is refueling when he suddenly notices thick, black smoke pouring from under his hood. He loses his mind, drops the active nozzle straight onto the pavement, and sprints into the convenience store for cover. The loose nozzle bounces on the concrete, continuously spraying high-pressure gasoline everywhere. But the station operator doesn't freeze. Instantly, they slam the giant red emergency kill switch, completely cutting power to every single pump on the property. The fire only manages to ignite the small puddle directly beneath the vehicle. Firefighters roll up moments later and smother it instantly. 0 injuries. This exact case proves a vital point. No amount of automated AI or smart plumbing can replace a highly trained, hyper-focused human being. According to official data from the National Fire Protection Association, over 5,000 gas station fires break out every single year. And let that sink in. More than half of them are caused entirely by human error. This is why every single worker has to go through brutal mandatory certification courses. They don't just read boring textbooks about fire classes. They step onto live fire simulators. We are talking about full-scale metal mock-ups of fuel pumps hooked up to high-output gas burners that unleash roaring 2-meter-high walls of real flame. The operator has to read the wind direction, choose the exact right chemical extinguisher, march directly into the heat, and kill the blaze in a matter of seconds. This live fire test is mandatory at least once a year, and in many countries, if you fail, the station loses its license on the spot. On top of that, staff are heavily trained in a psychological skill called situational awareness. The employee behind the counter isn't just scanning snacks. Their eyes are glued to a matrix of CCTV screens, actively hunting for dangerous human behavior. A guy holding an unlit cigarette near the pumps, a toddler left alone in a vehicle with a roaring engine, or a driver taking suspiciously long to pull a nozzle out. Every single one of these observations is a potential catastrophe stopped in its tracks. But as we push deeper into the digital age, technology is taking over everything. Can artificial intelligence step in and supercharge this safety matrix? Let's find out. So next time you pull up to the pump, take a look around. What looks like a simple pit stop is actually a hyper-reactive, multi-layered fortress of invisible tech, brilliant physics, and razor-sharp human training, keeping the chaos completely locked away. The danger is real, but the genius protecting you is always one step ahead. Did any of these hidden safety measures blow your mind? Drop a comment below, smash that like button, and subscribe so you never miss another deep dive into the hidden tech running our world. Stay safe, keep your eyes on the pump, and we will see you in the next video.